Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Halo TV show Spoilercast and review from GigaBoots, the obligation. I'm your host,
just a chunk.
Dan Video Games. With me is Bob.
I took my helmet off.
From GigaBoots. We also have KZ from KZExcellent.com.
I stole my costume from the Hunger Games.
Mr. Feel for Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I didn't understand the assignment and accidentally made a Mass Effect show.
And Dr. Aggro from Dr. Aggro.
Remember that time Masterchief shot that guy in the dick?
We watched the first 3 hours of the Halo show, which regrettably I've been told was only 3 episodes.
That was 2 feature-length movies.
We set out to do that from the beginning, and it was very funny when the end of episode 3 literally ended like a Lumelin film, desperately begging me to keep watching.
Well, naturally, we're coming back, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. They just started playing a trailer for the second season of the show.
It did really feel like that. It's like, this is episode 3.
Here's our 8 Phantom Menace plot lines.
There's only 33 more episodes they're going to make according to what they greenlit.
Oh no, what?
Yeah, they greenlit a lot.
They greenlit 2 more seasons, Bob.
Oh,
Jesus.
Paramount Plus, they make big mistakes.
they don't do small ones, right?
No, they don't do small ones.
They do what Netflix is no longer willing to do.
I mean, I don't even know if Netflix has ever gone, we're halfway done airing the second season of a thing people seemingly didn't love. Here's the cast for the 3rd season, baby. But here we are watching the Halo show on Paramount Plus. It was...
Thank you, Spielberg.
We watched episode 1, Contact.
Okay.
Episode 2, Unbound, and episode 3, Emergence. You know, normally we go in depth of what each episode is about, talk about our experiences watching it, but we're going to keep this more like some of the, Netflix Capcom crossovers.
That's what it deserves.
Yeah.
Maybe just shoot from the hip and talk about our experiences watching it. Let's I have like a thorn in my brain from one very specific part of episode 1 that I'm trying to not talk about immediately because it's insane for that to be the first talking point.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've got one about episode 1.
You go ahead and open up. Yeah.
Episode 1 didn't need to exist.
Nope.
Episode 1 was 5 minutes of exposition on like a plane ride.
Yeah.
Stretched into a fucking hour.
No, Edgar, if they didn't do episode 1, we wouldn't have had an action scene where Halo Master Chief shoots guys.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
and throws a gun that turns into a CG gun in another cut.
Bob, we didn't have an action scene where they shot guys. We had action scenes and we had scenes where they shot guys. And those were always very separate.
That's not true. There's that one where he does air step over a guy while shooting him.
He does do that.
Yeah, they see all the Master Chief style guys run at people shooting, and then the leader of the insurrectionists, is that right?
Or rebels, or separatists,
or whatever they are, starts doing the same thing. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Your bullets do not have plot armor.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. It was that was a really dumb set piece.
Yes,
it was great because of course this Covenant, it doesn't seem like it's feeling well. It already looks like Master Chief maybe beat the shit out of it a little. It's stumbling around, but the head of the rebels sees them and he's like, they're stumbling towards my baby girl who's hiding under that truck. I should run at it screaming and shooting until I get within melee range.
Yes.
And then summarily gets killed. That was a really great moment in that set piece. Great action in this. What's up, Bob? I just said some words.
Jesus. It was great, comma, action is in this.
I thought it was fine in the first episode, and then it stopped existing.
Thank God. They would have had to try a lot. I don't know. It's
when I was watching this first episode, I was, I'm like, I'm gonna try and get hooked into this, and as it went on, I had heard impressions that they were just doing another lone wolf and cub type thing for the first episode, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Sure, Mandalorian did it, but that's not a huge deal. Then Master Chief talks and sounds indistinguishable from Pedro Pascal doing the Mandalorian that I got scared like, no way. Is that why you cast him? But thankfully, the show just became immensely 800% more boring than the Mandalorian ever has been.
Yeah,
after that
maybe
first episode.
See, I didn't really have a problem with these 3 episodes. I was like, those were fine. But maybe it's because, one, I went into this expecting Cowboy Bebop Netflix.
See, here's
the level of what I expected.
Here's the interesting thing.
And-
I think the show is simultaneously worse and better than Cowboy Bebop Netflix. It looks a lot better. Because how could it look
so
worse?
much better?
I don't know.
How could it look
looks like
worse?
something you would make for television ever. Yeah.
You have to get an executive producer like Doug Walker for it to look worse than Bebop Netflix.
And 2, I haven't seen The Mandalorian, so if this is just ripping off The Mandalorian, I'm like, I haven't watched that, so I don't know.
It just felt been there, and also just the context if they're making a streaming show based on this thing, what is one of the most popular streaming shows in the last few years type of thing. But don't worry, it quickly abandons what it was doing almost immediately to do its own plot. But I was worried at the start.
Yeah, I don't I'm not really in love with the core conceit here, which is Master Chief touches an artifact that makes him remember feelings and memories.
Yeah.
And more importantly, how that's supposed to fit into a larger artifact to make a keystone, which I'm convinced, obviously, the season's nowhere near done. So I can't even, no one, as far as I know, it hasn't been talked about, but I didn't look it up.
It has to be the index. It can't be anything else.
But I'm convinced it's just going to make the Halo rings appear out of slip space.
Maybe. Yeah, that would make sense.
Because I was talking about they get the Halo ring to activate like it's nanotech in a Marvel movie, where it's slowly just materializing.
Mm-hmm.
Are Spartans like I know shit all about Halo that I haven't seen half awake during E3. Are Spartans actually like this in the series? Are they like emotionally shut down and weirdly altered? And
I don't know if there's like literal we did things to them to make them not have emotions, but they're child soldiers. Like they got taken from their parents as kids and like trained and underwent modifications and shit to become Spartans.
Yeah, everything about the emotions part seems completely made up for this. I don't remember an anti-emotions bullet that is inserted into a spine.
yeah, I feel like I would have heard about that because the Spartans were always a really nice half step toward Astartes, where they just stopped and went, no, let's pull this back so it's not a complete ripoff. And the show just went all the fucking way with it.
Yeah, it's I'm really
It doesn't feel like Spartans, really.
I mean, part of that is they don't seem to be like 8.5 feet tall, towering over literally everyone. It's only every few shots that you get the impression that they're taller, and it's moderate.
But in every shot, every scene they're in, you get the slow walk with the sound effect.
You do.
Yeah,
I
like
was gonna say, it's
AT-ATs
the
glopping
worst.
around.
Can I get a mod for the Master Chief collection to put that in when you walk?
Can you also mod in a sad tuba whenever anyone's walking?
Yeah, there's more of a height difference between me and Tosh than there is Master Chief and normal size humans, which is wrong.
And it was so apparent so often.
They
It's
try
not
to
like something
do
you have to reach for. It's just always in your face.
they try to do camera angles occasionally that sort of cover it up, but then it quickly falls apart when they cut to a wide or whatever. But more importantly, I was gonna say I'm really not in love with the Keystone like idea, and also the chosen one or enlightened one. I can't remember the exact name for the
Yeah, I think it's enlightened.
Blessed.
the blessed one.
Ah.
Yeah, Maquis,
A
right?
blessed one.
It's intensely 343 writing.
I
Like
mean,
we're deep in that now, and
yes.
we can't escape.
I mean, it's
Yes.
see, I don't think it's like a chosen one thing
Yeah.
from what I saw.
I didn't get
I
that
think
impression.
I think it's more like Chief and this girl touched the other thing,
Right.
which attuned them to the thing that is in the first episode. So it's not. It's literally because it's Mass Effect. Another thing. All the music in this is intensely Mass Effect.
We knew it wasn't Halo immediately, but
right.
It sounds exactly like Mass Effect music, every single bit of it. And the thing with the keystone is like a thing in Mass Effect, where it's it's the exact same thing. In the opening of Mass Effect, Commander Shepard touches the beacon, which was left by the Forerunners, and has like memory flashes, and is now attuned to the other things and can activate them. And I have to assume this is the same thing.
So now a new hand touches the beacon.
And in fact, they even had a Mass Effect reference in the first episode where
Oh yeah, you got it.
yeah, we all know
on
this.
the Earth thing, where it's like, Commander Shepard, can you come to here?
That was so great. We were wondering whether you catch it.
Oh my god,
That's so bad.
It was miserable. I was like, guys, what's next? A Samus Aran reference?
No, what's next was a big yellow gear on a vault door.
Yeah, but that didn't even seem like a reference. It just seemed like we had this.
After the Shepherd thing, I was like, oh, am I being paranoid?
Yeah, I know.
I thought the exact same thing.
That kind of gets you into that headspace for sure. But yeah,
I mean,
I'm not really huge into the Covenant relying on Maquis' attunement thing. Like, I really think it's a crutch where it's just like, well, we have to have a human on that side. I'm like,
well, I mean, they in the games they captured people to activate Forerunner tech. So this is like the same thing. It's just like a person they can't kill.
Yeah, they just come up with the radar and they go, wait, the object is her. And then they're like, okay, you're ours now. And then she has the most ridiculous fucking outfit.
Oh yeah, it's
Where
funny.
her head is being eaten by it.
I'm like, are you from the Fifth Element? Like what?
Yes.
I think it was designed intentionally to mute the human shape of her body.
Yes, because
yes,
disgusting.
I liked that, and I like that they really leaned into the High Charity looking more like a giant brain in this.
Yeah, I can't remember what that looked like originally.
It looks basically like the exact same thing, but it's like it was like original Xbox visuals.
Mm-hmm.
So in this one, they're like, okay, it looks much more like a giant brain and has like a neural network and stuff. And I think visually, a lot of stuff in this looks stunningly good for a streaming show, which is probably why by episode 3 they established like the 3 sets.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think for a streaming show, this is really high budget. Which is why it's not even close to looking as bad as Bebop Netflix.
You see, I have to wonder if it's like the result of like them really wanting to make a good streaming show, or the fact that this was being conceived as a Showtime show and then pivoted to Paramount Plus.
I mean, Picard looks great.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay. I try not to look at it.
That's fair. But yeah, everything I've seen from Picard looks on budget, right? It looks like a big Star Trek.
Discovery also looked that way.
Yeah. So this is just Paramount Plus's deal. Also worth noting, if people recall back in 2013 or whenever, when they said, we're making a Halo, they were saying Spielberg's going to produce. Amblin Entertainment actually was credited on this.
Yeah, and Spielberg is an executive producer.
Yeah. So that happened. No one has mentioned that I've seen, that he was still involved after all this time.
He might just still be attached.
Right.
Yeah. It is one of those situations of it sounded like back in 2013 that he was going to like directly work on it, like be almost a director of sorts. And clearly that's not the case.
I mean, that's the way they like to announce things, though.
I know.
Do you think Hollywood would really do that? Attach someone's name and imply they're doing more than they actually are?
We totally don't go through this with every single adaptation of anything that Netflix does.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has big. We brought on person for consulting energy, where it's like, we're gonna pretend we asked you questions about what you think would be good for this Halo show.
I thought it was pretty funny. We were watching episode 1. For people who don't know, there's the big fight at the beginning. Then Masterchief has to take the one lone survivor of a camp that is attacked by the Covenant back to the UNSC HQ. And on the way back, they're like, yeah, we're going to need you to kill her, say she died in transport because she's not working with us. But there's a conversation, the one that tries to get her to come over to UNSC side so that way she could be a poster child for the UNSC saved us from the Covenant. You should join the UNSC. For some reason, this negotiation is being done by Miranda Keyes, who later is revealed to be a researcher. So we're 3 episodes in and already the UNSC structure makes no sense and has myopic, like, we have the main cast, so they all must do all the important things. And it's like, but she's literally supposed to be a research scientist. Why is she negotiating?
Well, the thing they said was that she is fluent in the language, so she would be better for it.
But she wasn't using their language.
That's
Korean.
what they said before that scene,
Yeah,
Bob.
I'm like, what?
I mean, she talked about being really good at the alien language.
Yes, that happened. I remember her talking.
They
like,
mentioned that like she has some skill that related to language that will help in this specific instance.
Yeah, so negotiations don't go well. So Master Chief's supposed to smoke what did they actually call them? Rebels, insurrectionists, both.
They switch between rebels and they call them insurgents at one point.
Insurgents.
Insurging on their own fucking planet.
So the ship, the Pelican, is overridden because Master Chief won't do it. They make it land at the UNSC HQ. And then they say, we're going to need literally every person in the barracks to come out and shoot Master Chief. And Hagrid's like, I really appreciate that they're all just lining up to be the one to do it.
I do actually. This reminds me of one problem I have with this.
Yeah.
The Covenant in that first scene call Master Chief the demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't start. Why are they doing that now? They do that after he kills an entire Covenant army in Halo 1, I think.
Yes.
I don't think they
Yeah.
start calling him the demon till Halo 2.
Yeah, I believe
guess
that's
they want
correct.
to establish that he's already a Giga Chad who is killing all these people, but like we don't see him kill an army. Why are
Right.
they calling him the demon? He's just some dude.
And it this whole show has got a really weird conceit where it's like the war has started, but no one knows. It's like they're trying
It's
to
like
keep it on a down
Outpost.
low.
No one believes that there's
It's-
aliens.
It's like Forward Unto Dawn. It's literally like Forward Unto Dawn, where it's like, well, they're attacking, but it's still far outpost, so we don't have to call it a full war yet. By the way, like the opening of this show almost is a bunch of dumb kids going out into the woods to get high, and the Covenant just eradicate them. It is really cool.
I was waiting for a moment to be like, yo, I love how those dudes just blew up to molten bits.
Just particle effects with extreme prejudice.
They
I didn't
liquefied
expect
a
it.
rock.
Yeah.
I didn't. I like how the Covenant weapons are portrayed. I don't like the fact that they don't seem to understand how the shields in Halo work.
No.
Because a bunch of Covenant just walk through a minigun with the shields. I'm like, that's not how those work.
Well, until a Spartan's holding it.
Yeah.
Yeah, until a Spartan's holding it. So it's like, guys, just because you. That's like if you had riot cops walk through a minigun wearing riot gear. I'm like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, it definitely has that energy. I mean, in this, the energy shields are plot armor sort of thing, you know?
Right.
Where, you know, like you said, until the Spartans hold it.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating.
They had Chief shoot really poorly at one of them just so he could get shot, so they could play the sound effect of the shield going down, so he could drop down a level and wait.
Yeah.
Also, all the first person shots they do in the first episode are so funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the back-to-back comparison of that and Doom.
Oh yeah, I saw one comment when the show first dropped. Someone showing like a screen saying, "You had 18 Halo games or some shit, and you couldn't copy one of them for this HUD."
Well, no, they didn't play the game.
It was great that they did so much inside the helmet and all the first person. Like, I hope you like that because he's going to take that fucking helmet off for the rest of this show.
Yes. The next 2 episodes where him without the helmet was kind of insane.
I wasn't ready for Master Chief neckbeard.
I get that it's Hollywood and you're not allowed to have a character whose face is always covered, except the Mandalorian did that and was incredibly successful. What the fuck's wrong with you?
And the best Dread movie did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best Dread movie did, but come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like Like I'm also really bothered that it isn't Master Chief's actual voice actor. Like you could have just covered his face the whole time.
It's
and had that.
It's weird because they're also like doing augmentation to the real actor's voice to try to make it deeper, and it doesn't sound right at all.
Like
They also even and this is skipping ahead a little bit, even though Cortana is based on Halsey, and Halsey is obviously someone entirely different from the games in this, they still get Cortana's voice actor to be Cortana.
Yeah, they still got Jen Taylor, which is kind of cool in its own way. But
it's kind of a dig because she's like, I've been designed to appear pleasant and likable, not like Dr. Halsey at all.
I really, honestly, I like most of the Halsey stuff in there. They really lean into her being even more of a war criminal.
Halsey's the best part of this show, hands down.
Yeah,
she's just the biggest piece of shit.
The CG for Cortana. That's the worst looking thing in this show.
but see that's because 100%. It's okay that it looks bad because she's not supposed to be real.
I'd say that the elites are.
The elites don't look great. I also think the prophets look bad. Like everything inside the High Charity where it's all white just gives me intense Geonosis vibes. Or not Geonosis. that's the fucking factory set piece planet. I'm trying to remember what the one that was erased from the Jedi archives.
Yeah, the cloning planet, whatever that was.
Yeah, Django's house.
Camino.
Yeah.
Camino. Like that was very prequel core. But like if they had made Cortana look like a game model, then I'd be like, okay, she's not supposed to look real. She's a game model. But they obviously tried to still make her look like Halsey. But she just looks bad.
Yeah, I just took it as she's not a real person, so it's okay. Which, that's already weird. They couldn't make one episode with Cortana where it didn't already get weird, where it's just like, let me explain to you, John. It activates some sort of neural thing for you, so she could appear in the environment to you. And I'm like, you saw her before he woke up. What? Like,
well, other people can also see her, so it's like a thing that they installed in him that makes like holograms, I guess. He's like a walking dual disc.
She didn't say that he was the only one who could see her. She just described the hologram thing.
But there are enough uses of the you can see and stuff that I was like, I swear to you, they specifically phrased it. You can see her in any environment. But it didn't make it sound like, oh, you're projecting these particles out into real space, so she just appears wherever.
Yeah, it was so you can see her in any environment.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's I like that they didn't try to make Halsey likable. I was really worried they were going to whitewash Halsey and just be like, she's just a cool scientist lady.
I was going to say,
everyone thinks she's wrong, but she's right.
I don't know how she is in the game, but in this series, she is a perfect megalomaniacal narcissist.
Yeah.
She's pretty, this is pretty close to her game portrayal. Like Halsey is not, like Halsey is a girl boss at all costs type character.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't like what they did with AI in the series. I think that's really lame. That the idea of we need to suck out a clone's brain to make an AI is just kind of weird and doesn't have the implications that the original series had of just, there's ship AIs everywhere. No, Cortana has to be super special now. She's something that's unreproducible.
Yeah.
I mean, Cortana was based on Halsey's patterns anyway in the game.
It was, but she didn't make a clone of herself to murder to make those patterns, as far as I know.
Yeah, but as far as we know, but I like that because it's really evil and makes her a bigger piece of shit.
Yeah, that was a fucked up sequence, but like the whole needle in the eye sucked the brain out like we're mummifying her thing was some real, we're going to take a thing that's actually a metaphor and make it super literal for TV audiences.
Yeah,
we're putting your brain in the computer.
Yeah, so then they had the perfect vat of acid for her.
I know, I was like, which is like, what's happening? The UNSC budget division's like, Halsey, we notice you have a chamber that is a vat of acid for disposing of human bodies.
One at a time.
I really couldn't handle.
I mean, 2 or 3 if they're kids.
I couldn't handle the acid thing being done again. I'm rewatching Breaking Bad that also does that in a much less glamorous way. And I'm like, why are you also doing this?
It's just really funny because it's like Halsey has been told cloning's a big no-no. You know, they have the 2 C's rule.
Yes!
They hate the 2 C's. They hate cloning and Cortanas.
But yeah, in original Halo, it's set in a timeline where humanity has achieved AI, and that's starting to bridge into like the alien tech kind of.
Yeah, and the AI's mostly normal.
Yeah.
For a few years. They get a good run out of it, and then
they just have to shut it down before it goes rampant.
And then the AI's like in his suit in the game, right?
instead of being in his spine.
Yeah,
But now, Phil, I had asked them last
brain.
night, and I got sort of a non-committal answer. Can you take Spartan armor off?
See,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, I don't know which way it goes on this. I haven't really seen enough media where Spartans take the armor off.
No, in the 343 stuff, they do show the armor coming off because they get him in the ring and they have all the pieces, like all the arms come and take it off of him. They have to like deconstruct it. It's not something they can just take off themselves, though.
You mean in between cuts like they did in the show? Where he just takes it off in between cuts.
Yeah, not between cuts like that. He can take it off using a giant machine at base.
Right.
And it's at that moment that I'm like, this Master Chief is 5'7".
And then he takes the whole thing off, and we see that he's not even slightly in shape.
He's not some Giga Chad who's super ripped. He's a guy.
Yeah, it's just a guy. I guess
The
everything
demon.
really fancy comes from the suit, which is lame.
By the way, I just looked it up. Apparently in the games, there is like clones of Halsey involved in the creation of Cortana, and she is super special. So that's actually consistent.
Okay, so Cortana's special, but the other AIs don't require that, right? Because there were a lot of ship AIs.
But Cortana is super special. That's why, because in Reach, they're
Yeah,
like, this is our last shot. This Cortana is
Yeah.
our shot.
Yeah. That makes sense. There's just a bunch of lines in this about like, oh, in order to make an AI like that, you have to use cloning. You wrote papers about that, didn't you, Halsey? Yes. Have you found a way to do it without cloning? Meeting adjourned.
See you next week.
So I want to go back for a second because I realize how it sounds when I'm like, oh, and then he took his helmet off, and it sounds like classic. No, it has to be exactly like it is in the game all the time. But really,
Right.
it's part of a larger thing where all those years ago, when they're like, Steven Spielberg's going to make a Halo show, I'm like, oh shit, we're getting fucking Band of Brothers with Master Chief. This is going to be really awesome. And instead of that thing, we got this weird modern sci-fi show where this guy has mysterious visions of memories by touching a weird thing and has to go on
it's
this
Mass Effect
journey
now.
of personal discovery and all this horse shit
damn it.
that has nothing to do with it being Halo.
Yeah. They barely made what I would consider a Halo show.
It's a show with Halo stuff in it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Like you could tell me episode 2 was like season 3 of The Expanse, and I would believe you.
I'm giving
When they go to
this
the
show.
theme park with the Universal Studios
Hey-
ride that takes them to the dude's rock house.
Oh, yeah.
You know that viral tweet about how if there was a streaming show called Surf Dracula, it would be about him getting the surfboard and you'd see him surfing for 5 minutes in the season finale.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I assume this is going to be with the actual Halo. Like maybe the last 3 episodes of this season will involve them going to the Halo ring.
Hype.
I don't know. I think we're
That's
going to
3
see
whole
it through a
hours.
window.
That's season 2.
Yeah, season
The
2 being the
mission
Halo ring.
starts.
No.
Season 2 starts with a 2-year time jump. What happened to the Halo ring?
Oh no.
Last time on Halo Ring.
I wanted to bring up Miranda Keys is like the worst actress in this whole show.
I think I agree.
Yes.
Either that or her superior, which I actually do not remember the name of. Her
dad.
No. Her direct
The woman?
superior is the Indian woman.
The Admiral.
Yeah.
Oh, then
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but yeah, the Admiral. I think those two are the worst at acting.
I didn't notice the superior being that bad an actor. I just was forcefully reminded of Judge Dredd, the good Judge Dredd movie. Where, because she's like the exact same character as the chief in that, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know the best actor in this series is the guy who's like just like a hair's width off from literally being the living reincarnation of Billy Connolly.
They're like, we have to get rid of this man. He's too good.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the I think it's 2 scenes that have Keyes and the direct Admiral Superior, and those were like some of the worst scenes of the show. Where I'm just like, I really don't care.
Yeah, somehow she brings this energy of, they ruined my high school project, to what should be much bigger a deal.
Yeah, it's exactly how it feels. So it's like, this is my moment. When's my turn?
It's a Parks and Rec scene about somebody eating something out of the group fridge.
Like, it feels weird that there's seemingly like 4 ongoing like plot lines at the same time, and 2 of them are just really, really terrible, and I hate when they cut to them, between Keyes trying to do things, and most importantly, I think it's Kwan Ha, everything going on with her.
I think
I do not care.
It's especially the parts of Kwan Ha's homeworld. It's like, I can't care about this place. Please stop cutting back and wasting my time with this dictator who's allegedly taking it over, and we're not even seeing that really.
The comically evil white man.
Yeah.
Who I just said was Hux from the Star Wars sequel.
I mean, that's obviously the same character.
Right? Like, guys, if this was the new season of Altered Carbon, I would give a shit.
Well, why do you on every one of these do you bring up Altered Carbon? I don't even know what that is.
Because all sci-fi TV looks the same now.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those.
Agra will assault you with this.
That actor, by the way, is the evil white guy is one of the scientists from Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it's great.
I was trying to figure out where I recognize this guy from, because immediately I'm like, who is this evil white man?
But yeah, I don't know. I thought not at a pictures have come out. What do you think the series is now level? But before anything had come out about this, I thought a Halo show would maybe not have 3 constant plot lines going about UNSC bullshit politics, a rebel world I don't care about, and then the Master Chief plot line / the Maquis plot line. I assume
Don't call them the Maquis.
is no, that's literally her name's Maquis.
Oh, her name is okay, because the Maquis are also are like the insurgent people in Star Trek.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
The Maquis are like the the rebels that get forcibly relocated by the Federation in Deep Space Nine.
That's really funny.
And they become insurgents into. Well, I thought Dan was calling the rebels in this like, no, obviously they're just the Maquis.
No,
you are what you watch.
No,
Who's McKee in this show?
Maquis is the person,
girl.
yeah, the enlightened one or whatever, the blessed one. There we go. That's the actual term, the blessed one. Yeah, Maquis is the blessed one who hangs out with the Covenant. Is going to make her way back to the planet we got the rebel from Kwan Ha from.
I just kept calling her the childlike Empress's goth phase in my head.
That's fair. But yeah, I just I didn't think the Halo show would need all these plot lines, and I didn't expect it, mostly because I guess I just wasn't cynical about how you write a series enough. I don't know, where you need to have this many plot lines going at once. Nowadays, I guess, to write a series, you need like 4 plot lines going all at the same time.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're doing 12 hours of content, like that, this is almost 36 episodes of actual television. Like, it's an obscene amount of content, so of course they have to start making shit up.
Yeah, having full hour-length episodes really just tears it out in a way that it shouldn't have.
God. Yeah, because I'll look at other streaming shows that have significantly less plot lines because they're so much shorter. It's like, oh, it's 35 minutes. We don't need to have 5 different hooks or feel the brain damage that we need to do that instead of maybe 1 or 2.
When it was set on Reach, like their main headquarters for the UNSC, I was like, oh, cool, we're just going to do the Fall of Reach stuff like really quick. Oh, no. And then noticing Halsey is there and everyone is there. I'm like, oh no, they're not going to do it. They're just going to sit here.
Maybe that'll be the climax of this season, because the Fall of Reach happens like immediately before Halo 1.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're doing. It'll be like, this will be Reach. Season 2 will be Halo 1 because we're insane. And then Season 3 will be Halo 2 and 3, maybe?
I assume by the time we get there, it's completely invented plot lines.
Oh, yeah, there's no way. Because they've already changed so much, you can't course correct. There's so many things you can't do because you've installed Cortana in his brain. Like, you can no longer have a lot of situations.
No, the Covenant will have a super gun that removes Cortana from his brain.
Well, we'll see. We'll see that when they decide to do that stuff, Bob, they'll just do it and not care. They'll like, oh, it's Chip now.
You're not wrong, but I'm upset anyway.
I'm glad that Phil was able to solve our narrative issues.
I don't. We hit one of the first planets. It's one of the early planets. I guess it's the beginning of episode 2, where Maquis comes from. Maybe that was the beginning of episode 3. But anyways, and when we hit that planet, I was like, now wait a second. I know that name. Which Halo was that from? And I look it up and it's Halo 4. And I'm like, okay, it was shown on a hologram in 5, and it was in Halo 4. We hit another planet. I'm like, cool, what's this one from? And it's like Halo 5. I'm like,
yeah, there's way too much stuff from Halo 4 and 5. It's like, why is the team's chief as Wish just the guys from 5?
We didn't show enough.
Those are from the books, Bob.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what they had to work with.
Oh, that would explain why their entire presence in the series is cutting to them looking conflicted.
Yeah.
In a book, there's a lot of internal monologue and content.
Like Master Chief's team was even a Bungie thing in books.
Wow.
Before 4. So that's why they were in 5 even.
Right.
It's like, we're bringing in these characters from the book, because that's like what 343's desperation role immediately was like, books. We need things.
Yeah, take things from stuff that doesn't actually exist to most of the audience.
Here's his backup team. You all know D12, right?
Well, Bob, if you pull it from the books, then you're being faithful to the original material. Mm-hmm. Ergo, if anyone complains that you went off-brand, you can be like, no, you didn't read the books.
Right. Yeah.
That's also where a lot of the rebels. That's also where a lot of the rebel stuff was from. Is the books.
Okay.
I know they have a little bit of that, a tiniest bit in Reach, because there's some rebel factions they find on Reach itself. But it never occurred to me, like, what's going to be the main plot focus of your Halo show? The rebels against the UNSC. It's like, no, who cares? I want to see the UNSC deal with these aliens who've shown up and have what's Johnson? Sergeant Johnson there yelling at them straight from Aliens, the movie.
Yeah, I feel like the worst thing they could have done was have Sergeant Johnson in this and have a terrible portrayal, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank God that hasn't happened yet. But I actually disagree, Bob.
Yeah.
I could have easily been interested in a Halo show that was about UNSC dealing with rebels and then the Covenant show up. I could take multiple episodes of that.
Okay.
If they wrote it correctly. I don't think the way they wrote this is good at all.
No, absolutely not.
It's like, okay, here in this first scene, in the setting, in all of what we've seen of that planet, which I've already forgotten the name of, we don't get a sense of the scale of the amount of rebels on the planet. We don't get a sense of, like, her dad was in charge of all of them. It just seemed like a small fort, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then later on, it becomes this thing of, like, Venture, I believe his name was, has taken over, and now he controls it because the UNSC just handed it to him. And all these other things. And I'm like, this isn't that interesting. Like, I want to have a fully realized on-screen portrayal of these rebels, of this planet, of this, the politics, right?
Okay.
That's how you make that interesting. I feel like the way they did it here, it doesn't feel like we actually got to see how, like, in control her father was and what the scale of the rebel civilization is. And all of these other things, these relationships with the UNSC and other stuff. We didn't get that. And then the next rebel-ish thing we get to experience is The Rock, which is basically the underground from Demolition Man.
Absolutely that.
Oh my God,
I just went, oh, it's every single it's like the thing in every single sci-fi series ever, including Mass Effect, where it's just like, here's like the smuggler, the space version of the pirate smuggler cove.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's rocks
that concept
and piracy.
That concept is very common and normal, but the way they make the underground look when they first arrive, it's this specific look of this alleyway with these neon sights. I'm like, I'm just flashing back to Demolition Man.
Yeah.
They saw in the script, he's a Spartan named John.
Fuck you. There's no rat burgers though, so it's not quite there.
Yeah, not quite.
Like everybody in that rock, no matter what they're doing, has a gun. And the motherfucker, like, the first thing he says is like, yeah, look at this place. There are no laws, no rules. I'm like, who is maintaining your really stupid mass transit system?
Yeah, I don't know.
No
it was
laws,
all set
no
up.
rules.
I'm pretty sure the Disney Corporation is maintaining the rides.
Like, I fucking watching that tram car cable out to that satellite asteroid. I wanted to clip that and send it to an astrophysicist and ask for the rundown on how dead everyone in that station is.
Yeah, that seems so bizarre and like unnecessary. Like, why? There's nothing that you'd expect to work like that in Halo, because Halo's a lot more just, it's down to earth, but in space.
Yeah. It seemed like they wrote a thing and this would be an exciting CGI spot for the episode. They were hoping to fire some neurons based on visual appeal. I think it's incredibly vapid and completely unnecessary. And a lot of the science/architecture stuff in this does seem pretty un-Halo to me. Like giant glass window to look at space sort of thing and various interior designs. But, you know, what do I know? I didn't read every book, so I'm a moron, so.
Yeah, right.
Well, the first thing is admitting that you were wrong, and I feel like that's important.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like
important.
They were wrong in the costume design in that area for that dude's wife. I don't know what's going on there.
She came here from the Hunger Games.
Yeah. No, with the alien girl, like, there's an excuse. She lives with the aliens. What's going on with her?
She lives with the 1%.
I guess.
I couldn't. They do that, and they also give her this scene where it's like she doesn't want to worry about her planet that got fucked up by war and stuff, so she doesn't like looking out into space. And they cut to a window that is 80% a planet and 5% another rock. It's like you can't see the cold vacuum of space in this window. This line doesn't make any sense.
I don't look at most of my living room wall.
Was anyone else kind of weirded out that this free rebel state or whatever it is had an insane asylum where they all locked themselves up, I guess?
That whole scene was very uncomfortable.
I assumed that was just jail.
Crazy.
But there's no rules, Phil. How can there be jail?
Well, yeah, no, it's not a
Unless
prison.
you're
It's a
crazy.
refuge. They all put themselves in there.
Sure.
That's what the show tells me.
That's what it said, and that was very strange.
Bob, are you saying it's sus?
It is pretty sus.
Ooh, saucy.
Yeah, that whole scene, man.
was
you know
so
what?
long.
This is like I'm gonna go ahead and say the crazy guy who has the knowledge on the Covenant because he spent time aboard their ship. That is the most they've ever had a character like that talk and say almost nothing.
Yeah,
they
that's
sure
why it
did
feels
that.
so long.
It literally is one of the worst one of those scenes I've ever seen. Just the things he's saying and all these other elements. I'm like, I've seen this scene so many times, and somehow you've made the least information dense, but most stammery version of this. Like, what was it, Bob? I think you were talking about Independence Day Crazy Man.
Yes.
Yes, you were.
I was like, man, that guy was cool.
The guy is the best part of that movie.
That whole sequence, that whole episode, all of episode 2. I'm just like, I don't know, Chief. Why don't you just touch the rock again?
No.
But Halsey says it makes my heart go doki doki.
Why is he so mean to Cortana? She's designed to be so likable.
He played Halo Infinite.
Yeah. The most Halo I play being Halo Infinite really makes the show even funnier.
I mean, I would also hate this bitch if she kept saying, Halsey, why am I not allowed to control his mind? She says that like 8 times in the first scene. And yeah, I would also be like, fuck you.
I know he didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, he didn't hear any of that. I don't know. I wouldn't like a human being forcefully installed in my spine.
I feel like she said it with him right there when he was talking.
No.
At least once she was like, Halsey, why are you not letting me control this?
She was on like Halsey's monitor, but
yeah, one time she says it while he's unconscious. The next time she says it, Cortana is in the office with Halsey, completely separate from Chief. Chief can only hear them when they hit the button, to talk through the intercom, because Chief is projecting a thing that produces sound into another room to talk to someone else that he can't hear. Yeah, because magic. That's all I got. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, as I said, I actually could be really interested in the UNSC dealing with rebel stuff, because I find that funny and interesting. But yeah, none of the plot lines of this really have a whole lot going for me.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna make the most uncharitable comparison for this show ever. I'm gonna compare it to Gundam.
Jesus. Okay.
Wow,
where you have a really good like, they go really in depth into why the what is it called, the Feddies, I forget the actual the entire name of it, but the Feddies and Xeon are at war, and you get a very clear idea of how the people in the colonies were being oppressed, how all this works. You get like a lot of detail about that. In this, they didn't tell you shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a throwaway line from Quan once of like, we want our freedom. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, they also keep saying deuterium. Deuterium, thank you.
It's an isotope of hydrogen.
It is. I've never had to say it out loud. But they keep bringing that up as it's a fuel source. They want that. They want our cool fuel source.
Like it's not really clear what the problem is with them and the rebels and the deuterium on the planet. Like, are they not getting a good price for it? Are they not letting them mine it? It's sort of a fill in the blank. Here's the government, here's the rebels, you do the lifting.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the exercise is left for the reader.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, Phil brought up the comparison with Gundam, which of course it's not fair. But yeah, that show wasn't even necessarily interested in fully, like, it didn't hinge its appeal on that. Like, it's a fucking mech show. But it does so much better a job. And I feel like I would have been here for it if they actually did do a good job of explaining history and the sort of relationship they had.
And maybe having characters surrounding it instead of just evil man and little girl is the only thing that's left.
Little girl's dad was wholesome and good, and now a German Nazi soldier has taken over the planet.
Right.
He's now going to execute people on TikTok. And it's like, I'm going to need you to try a little bit better than this. Not harder, though.
Speaking of the politics, the UNSC is like a military body, right? Like they report to a government, don't they?
No, I think they're the top.
Yeah, they're the top. I think it stands for United Nations Space Command.
Yeah,
and they quote unquote report to the unified Earth government, but the implication is really the military's in charge. It's a military police state.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thus the abducting children and making them into super soldiers.
Halo is like, I can't think of another series where like the protagonist works for such a transparently evil group and it never actually comes up in the story of the games.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
In fact, in actual Halo, they created the Spartans initially to put down these rebels.
Right, and
it's just like no, they're gonna go and they're just gonna go and kill all of them. Well, they kind of do that in the opening where that guy's talking about how Spartans show up and just kill everybody.
Yeah, They do.
They touch on like the slightest ways and make it not the focus and not interesting though. It's really
here's the thing.
crazy.
Bob, we can't have our protagonist be clearly outlined as the guy who, goes and murders planets.
But they do.
I
Like, they have
know.
this
They
great
do
conversation where he's talking to Quan Han. He's like, oh, yeah, at the last second, our orders changed to murder everyone there. She's like, and you did it? He's like, yeah, I mean, there could have been stuff I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I don't question the command. And she's like, you don't question the command? And she crosses her arms and he's like, oh, shit. You dismantled my worldview.
They cut back to Reach.
Yeah,
Oh, fuck. Kill the kid.
I didn't think that there could be a brainwash soldier flip sides that happened faster and more jarringly than The Force Awakens.
Master Chief, she crossed her arms. Take her down.
Man, this makes it Equilibrium look smart.
Equilibrium is very smart. Thank you. There's a puppy in the trunk.
This teenager's mullet will not be contained by our fascist police state.
Take her down.
Nothing felt more unsubtle than the start of episode 2, where I think his name's Soren is trying to escape from being a Spartan, and he's like, "You don't understand, John. You have to be free." And I'm like, I get it. He's the black character.
Yeah.
Could you make this any less unsubtle? Of he's the one that understands the importance of actual freedom and all that weird stuff where they're like, this thing in your spine makes so you can't hear music.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I didn't even pick up on that because the unwhitening of Halo is so thorough with this. It didn't even occur to me as a choice they made casting wise. I was just like, they're just casting whoever they think fits the role. Because, the
Chief ended up this is who he did, so I can't feel like that's right.
I mean, the entire command at UNSC went from all white people.
True.
Yeah, so I didn't even think of that when it came to Soren or whatever. That is his name, right? Soren?
Yeah, I believe.
Okay.
Someone's name is that.
It's probably him.
I am fairly certain it is him who owns the Meteor City.
Yes. He runs The Rock.
Finding out that the emotion suppressor also makes him unable to hear music was really this is Hayes moment.
Well, he hears music different now.
Yeah, I thought he just didn't appreciate
that
music.
was.
He's like, I wanted to be like everyone else, because they say that it's like it tones down every unnecessary thing around you. So it's like music wouldn't even.
He would hear sounds.
Do you think
he
sees
doesn't have an
rain?
emotional response to things.
No, I don't think
definitely
he does not see rain.
Okay.
No way. Absolutely not.
He does not see rain. He cannot taste food.
Does it rain in Halo?
So wait. In Halo on the Halo or in Halo on other planets?
I'm going to say both.
Oh, shit.
It rained on Reach during that game.
Yes, it did. It also rained on another planet in 5.
Yeah, there was the water planet that was from episode 2.
I believe it's called Camino.
Yes, that's right.
We got there twice in one episode.
So let's go with yes. I'm trying to remember a Halo raining though, and I'm actually struggling.
Yeah, I don't know if it rains on Halos. I mean, assume it would because they have to maintain the agriculture
The
somehow.
ecosystem.
Do you think the Forerunners had an instructional video for the Halos that's just like the Halo, an ideal utopia, and also a nuke?
Probably because the fucking monitors had all these rules. I'm sure there must have been some kind of thing to teach you the rules.
Exactly.
The Didact is hosting one of these safety videos.
That would be awesome.
Do you think the Didact's going to show up in season 3?
That's the good season 2 ender.
I feel like he'll show up eventually for sure, and probably way sooner than he should.
Yeah.
What, the end of this season?
I would
honestly,
say the end of season 2 would be too soon.
There you go. The Didact could recompose Cortana out of his brain.
Oh, it's true. Until he gets hit by 2 composers at once.
Whatever. I can't survive 2 guns. Neither can he.
This is just
but you also
sense.
can't survive one.
Right. Yeah. Well. Oh man. Yeah, so I don't know. We need to start wrapping this up. Any talking points people want to bring up? Specific thoughts, feelings, moments?
Before we end, I have to talk about the intro.
Okay.
And it having a riff from freaking Titanic that me, Dan, and Agro basically started singing along to.
It was hilarious.
You don't understand. They all did the exact same lyrics at the exact same time. I thought it was an occult.
On the first episode, this wasn't we all realized after hearing it the first time. They go, dear Burr, and we're like, what?
Wherever you are.
And I'm like, no, people old enough to care about Halo saw that. You can't pretend we weren't there.
This was rough.
They didn't even think of that, Dan. I guarantee that they did not think of that.
There's no way you can post that without thinking of that. I'm sorry.
God,
No, I guarantee they didn't consider that Halo fans would be old enough to recognize it. Like that didn't even enter their brain.
I mean, here's the part about it that I don't get. Oh man, we need a really good piece of music for the opening animation for the Halo TV series. Golly gosh, gee, I wonder what we should use.
It's really confusing. There definitely aren't multiple versions of the same basic theme that you could be using if you weren't cheap.
Couldn't you just license a Phil Collins song and be done?
Yeah, that would be great. Fucking Master Chief's fucking suit appears and it's like, every little thing she does is magic.
What the fuck?
Baby, I'm on my way.
Yeah, no. The weird part is they didn't use it for the intro, Aggro, but they did use it. They used it for a riff in an episode.
Yep, it was the end of
Yes, they
episode
did.
1.
God, that's so pathetic.
Fucking asshole.
It's like you have a plethora of recognizable music. I will use none of it.
When they use it too, like, oh yeah, we're really Haloing now. Like, no, motherfucker, we're not.
Right
Why is
now,
this
actually,
happening?
this isn't very Halo. Yeah, it was a real trip watching this. If the episodes weren't an hour long, I could even vaguely
It's so dire.
submit that I would keep watching.
Them being so long, you get lost in the middle of an episode. Like, what episode am I on? When did it start? When did episode 2 end? What happened in that episode? I don't know. I have no existing framework to wrap my brain around.
I know, right? That's why I was saying, like, the end of episode 3 feels like a trailer for the next 2 seasons or something. It's so insane that that's just part of the episode.
Yeah,
that's
no.
not a next time on.
No.
The episode's still trying to communicate new ideas.
Like, guys, you need to understand, it is. We are being very, very literal. We are not overselling this. Episode 3 ends with them cutting to every plot line, trying to get you excited to watch more Halo show, because seemingly they know we do shows like this where we watch 3 episodes.
Maybe the fucking last time on Halo.
That honestly seems likely. See, I might watch more of this, not as it comes out, definitely not. But if the season ends and people are like, yeah, things happened. Like, I might. Because, like, they went to the Halo ring, Master Chief fought a bunch of Covenant, stuff happened, and it's not just these same 3 scenes over and over because we tricked you with that first action scene in the first episode, and now it's just going to be talking in a room because we don't want to spend money on sets for 9 hours.
An entire hour.
Yeah, I'm okay with longer format television, but the plot in this moves so slow because it has 5 plot lines. And
I forget.
It's not terribly interesting.
Yeah, I forget if we covered this part. It feels like with this show, they do the we're cutting to commercial break thing where it just
Cuts to black,
hard cuts to black. And that black lingers, I feel like, longer than I've ever felt it linger.
Each time it does that, it feels like that could have been an episode. Like, you could have just ended there and I'd be fine. That was plenty of content. That was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like the first episode ended 3 times for me.
Honestly, it got worse for me as we went.
Yes, 100%.
Because episode 3, it did it twice, and each time I was like, that was the end, right? What? No, there are 22 more minutes.
No.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like this has the Netflix, this has like the Marvel Netflix show Disease Bad, where it's like, you made too much. Either do half as many episodes or do normal 30-minute ones. You don't need 12 hours of this.
When people said that this was going to be hour-long episodes, like, oh, well, they mean it's like 50 minutes or something. We look at it. It's 59 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm like, no, this is a full hour. Okay.
Yeah, for that first episode. Then it dropped down. It's like, oh, maybe it'll be shorter. 53.
Yeah, I don't...
I'm like, we can't... I totally thought it was going to end up being like fucking the Disney shit where it's like, oh, there's 12 minutes of credits because we list every version of the credits in every language. But no, they in fact got the whole thing.
Well, we've come to the part in the spoiler cast where we talk about how we feel about it in a couple sentences, summarizing it, and then give it a score out of 10. We're going to start with Casey.
Thankfully, this isn't the worst thing I've had to watch in terms of a streaming program. I feel like part of it is from the fact that I did not have to watch all of it. That being said, that 3 hours was really rough at points. Some of the action in the first episode I enjoyed, but so many of the plot lines I just don't care about. I might try to come back to it, maybe, when it's done. Depending. I'm giving it like a 5. Yeah, 5. Maybe it'd be lower if I played more of these games.
Dr. Aggro.
I feel like I was able to give this show a huge boost by knowing absolutely zero about Halo's story or characters at all, and still felt really bad for anybody invested in this universe because of how belligerently mediocre TV this script got hammered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't worry, Aggro. That makes it match the 343 games.
It's got this weird mix of competent visuals and just why are we doing this storyline? There's no call for this at all, and the whole thing just sort of rock polishes out to a 5.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah, this whole show is just sort of boring. Like, there's no part of it that makes me want to keep going or even feel like I'm really watching something Halo related that often. I'm just going to give it a 4 because I'm like, it's not offensively bad. It's just there's way better things to use my time on.
Next we'll go to Feel.
I didn't hate this. Like, I honestly, we've watched such horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, is this what not Netflix is like? God, I hope Netflix burns to the ground. But it's like I don't give a shit about the plot line with the rebel girl at all. Like I just rolled my eyes every time we cut back to that space station and her. She just feels unnecessary, frankly.
Yeah.
You need your eye level character.
A lot of the stuff I hate about this is stuff that I have to assume is just in every single streaming show.
That doesn't mean you have to be okay with it.
But like I said, I might watch more if I can be confident that it's not just going to degrade into Cowboy Bebop, where it's like we ran that first episode with all the visuals was to trick you.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the show is the ship, that the apartment of Master Chief's friend on the space rock, and Camino.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I find out there's actually a climax to the season,
Yeah.
which many of these streaming shows do not have, I've noticed they just kind of end with a wet fart sound.
That's insane. One of the few streaming shows I have watched is The Mandalorian, and it's literally the opposite of this. Yes.
But like,
I hate this. I'll watch real streaming shows, then we go to the Netflix or this, and I feel like I'm in a clown universe.
Casey, I have bad news. I think every single one that isn't a Disney Plus show is probably like this.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, and I'm like, God.
Not to sound like a crazy person here, but I'm going to go ahead and put out there. I was going to wait until I talked to do it, but the Apple TV Plus shows look so much better than this and have a structure. So,
dude, those things look insane.
Yeah, they do. They look like fucking movies. It's kind of insane. They have so much money and they look professionally done by people who want to be there.
But I'm like, I might skip 4 or 5 episodes, but if I find out there's a climax, I I might come back and look and see, what did you do? So I'm going to give this a 6.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think it's a real shame that the Halo show doesn't look as good as Ted Lasso.
It is. If it's going to be its own down to earth, just sitting here in an apartment talking to each other, why can't it look like Ted Lasso?
I don't know.
He takes off his helmet and he is Ted Lasso.
Oh, that'd be a better casting,
that would
100%.
be so much better. I would fucking lose it.
Imagine if the main character could act. Whoa.
Or looked like a beefcake.
Well, yeah, one of the two.
I would take either, honestly. If he just looked as ripped as the Doom guy, that would be good enough for me,
Yeah, you just hire a bodybuilder. What are you doing?
They're like, no, we really need him to deliver this script that's garbage with nuance and care. As I said, all the plot lines are really, really boring to me. There are a number of different ways the show could have gone that would have been interesting. There are some ways it went that, if done correctly, would have been interesting. Nothing is compelling me to keep watching. It is nowhere near the best looking show I've seen on streaming because, once again, Apple just pours a crap load of money on professionals to make their shows look correct. I wish the show looked that tier. That would have been awesome. It would have been so good to see it. Just every episode looks like a really expensive movie. And if this bubble's going to burst, I want you guys to lose as much money as possible. But yeah, aside from that, I brought up a number of things that bug me about episodes. But I think the number one killing thing at it, right, is you could have made a really great show with Halo. Halo is an interesting universe. It's got cool shit all over it. But I think they did the least interesting version of everything they did.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why I'm also going to give it a 4. That's how I'm sitting on that. It feels like it falls just below the middle point even, where it's just like, I don't know why I would come back to this. Maybe I'll skip 9 episodes and watch the final one when it's out or something.
That's probably a completely viable option.
Right?
That's
how little
where
happens.
I am. Like, maybe the last 2 or 3.
Yeah. It's just,
I don't want to imagine the Halo show's version of filler. Like, none of the stuff we watched is that. Their version of that.
KZ, I feel like that's all we watched.
But here's the thing, Bob,
I
okay?
know, but could you imagine this amorphous blob that's even worse?
But I want it directly paralleled to Bebop Netflix, so I want the episode where you remember the main guy and Fate. They just hang around and talk about all this shitty stuff of like, oh, you need to take a bath and then a shower and then another bath.
Just more dialogue. It could be in literally any television show.
Yeah, there's gonna be. I feel like the way this is coming out of the gate, that will happen. But it won't be as much of the episode because these episodes are enormous and they couldn't possibly greenlight 35 minutes.
Yes, they'll have me missing stuff like, I guess it was episode 3 where they're like, this girl's just gonna kill everyone with dead space worms.
Yeah, with the worms.
Well, it was a hunter.
But it became Tentacle Monster.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Something you
if that
never
was a
do in
real
the
thing.
games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't...
Yeah, they've never... That's something they saw what a hunter was and then made it up.
Yeah.
Because hunters are like big masses of parasitic worms inside battle armor.
And they're like, well, if it could be worms, it could be a generic alien tentacle making its way through a ship. And I'm like, thanks. That's what I came to watch.
I always got the impression that, they're worms that use the battle suit because they can't live otherwise. Like, that's the only way we can make them viable as a monster, as like a threat.
As a unit, yeah.
Yeah, like otherwise they'd be slithering around the ground, unable to move.
Or apparently they would just become Giga Chad tentacle monsters.
Right?
I guess.
Like, this is amazing. Why have I never seen this in a trailer?
Yeah, anyway, that brings our total score to 24 out of a possible 50.
That's big for us.
It's slightly below a 5 at that rate. And I don't have the averaging table set up, but it's slightly below a 5, as it turns out.
I feel like that is better than every single thing from Netflix we have reviewed except maybe Cuphead.
Yeah, I am curious about that. I don't actually know the numbers on how good is that compared to blank.
I'm looking at stuff like Dragon's Dogma are average 1.25.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma was real dire. Thank God this wasn't that bad. That would have been incredibly sad.
I feel like they can do it. It can get down that low if we go shoot the whole series. I feel like it could.
Yeah, and that's potentially. You know, we gave this a slight crutch by us only watching the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to turn left into like a really, really bad political message they didn't all the way intend, but is totally in the show.
I got enough of that recently with Double Zeta. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Spoilercast and review. We just to be clear, we are not doing any more content on the show. This month's GigaBoots videos were brought to you by the continued support of our executive producers, such as Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Burning Pepsi Man, Adam Admar, Cooper Tank, and Virmvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers, and also these gamers. If you want to support GigaBoots so we can continue the content crunch, then head on over to patreon.com/GigaBoots today.